Welcome to HE Dialogue. I'm Edric,
I'm Joy.
and we're here to help you.
Get it right from the start.
There you go. So, this is clearly our passion, guys. We have a very special set of friends here who are very much known in the swimming world of the Philippines. It's almost synonymous when you think of swimming, even when I was a swimmer back 30 plus years ago, right? So, anyway, we're so happy to have them here. And we're going to carry on the spirit, if you will, of these dialogues, which is we want to help parents get it right from the start. We want to be able to add value and see what we can learn from the guests here. So, babe, why don't you jump in with our first question? I know you're very excited to ask
Well, I think that they should say their names first.
the
You didn't
personal
say
side
their
of things.
names.
So yeah, let's get them to introduce themselves. So Angelo and Pepper Lozada, right? Start off with your first juicy question about the personal side of things.
Oh, well, first, I just wanted to say, of course, they're parents to three boys
Mm-hmm.
who kind of were contemporaries with our sons,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
So there's Elijah, Josh, and Isaiah. And not coincidentally, I think, but our firstborns are both named
Elijah.
Elijah. Yeah.
That's right.
Great name. Great name. Okay, so first I think we're interviewing here a family of athletes
Mhm.
and even the legacy of your own parents passed down to you guys. So maybe you can share how that profoundly impacted also your choices in terms of your own lifestyle choices, but also how you wanted to raise your family because of what was passed down to you. Maybe
Yeah.
Pepper, you go first. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up with my dad was a black belter, karate, and he was into um working out all the time. So I saw that at a very young age, and he always made sure that our weekends were filled with outdoor activities.
Mm.
So I was really very outdoorish, like active, and I enjoyed, doing activities. So growing up, I think what I saw as a young kid, I was able to bring in with me as a, like a lifestyle. It became a lifestyle for me. My body looks for it.
Mm.
So I wanted that for my children as well.
And I think you also look for it in a husband.
Yes, actually, yes. My dad said you make sure that you marry somebody who knows how to swim and who's into sports and knows how to dance.
Wow.
Because if none of those, I don't think it's gonna work.
I wanted to jump in. I did not know this detail about Pepper. You did say your dad was a black belter,
Yes.
and you saw that. Did he ever force you?
No,
Did he ever say, you know what, because I'm into all these things, you need to do it as well?
no, not at all. He made it fun for me and my siblings.
And all of your siblings got into sports.
Got into sports, got into dancing, got into what's in there, like my medals, like a photographer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was passed on to her, and so all of us different
Passions.
passions of my dad.
Oh, I know that you were probably super close to your dad too because of it,
Yes.
right? So would you say that, for parents who are listening, that this was probably one of the healthiest, best ways to bond with
Yes.
your father?
Yes. As a family, he made sure that, it's something that we treasure. Like whenever we get together, me and my siblings, we always remember all the good things that, he would do for us, like making sure that we have skating time, or we'd go to the beach as early as 4 o'clock. The night before, we'd be in our swimsuits already, ready to just jump in the car.
It's at 4 a.m.
4 in the morning,
Wow.
we'd go to the beach, and then dad would get a boat and we'd all hop in and we'd just go, by just not too near, like really far, and then we'd dive in and swim at 6 in the morning.
Wow.
So those are the things that I really remember and treasure. And we would have a monkey bar at home, and he'd make us do pull-ups for fun. So he made sure that it was fun for us. not a pressure but fun.
I'm going to jump into Angelo. You did say that he did not force you, Pepper, to get into sports, although he made it fun, but he did require you to find an athletic husband. Someone who did swimming. That's what you said, right? Swimming and
Dancing.
dancing. So let's go to Angelo.
Why
We know swimming, yeah.
Because we were always outdoors. We were always in the
Okay.
beach. We were always like, I was, at a very young age, 2 years old, I was swimming. So swimming was part
It's in
of,
your DNA.
yes,
Speaking of
water.
DNA, yeah. So speaking of DNA, so Ange, you're from a swimming family. Tell us
Yes.
about a little bit about your family background. Was it the same as Pepper? Were climate of sports and athletics or different? Please.
Actually, it's kind of different. It's opposite.
Wow.
Because since growing up, that's the main business of my family, and my father, all of the siblings of the Lozadas really became swimmers. So it was an expectation already
Mm.
that if you're a Lozada, you have to learn how to swim. So swimming was really incorporated at a very young age. At age 1 already, I started to learn how to swim. It started off at 3. My dad started teaching. The youngest was 3. He went down to 2.5, 2, and then the first 1-year-old that he taught was me.
Wow.
And then eventually went down to 6 months old. So it was basically an expectation already. If you're a Lozada, you have to learn how to swim.
So if you don't swim, you're not a Lozada.
Yeah.
So
You get-
as a result of that, you were saying you were completely opposite
Yeah,
from
completely
Pepper's
opposite.
environment. You're saying as a result of the forced swimming DNA. Go on, please.
Yeah, because it was accepted that you have to be able to learn how to swim, you have to train, since it's an expectation already on our part. So as kids, because my dad's like a military person, since he was a coach, national coach,
Mm.
he was a swimmer, a national swimmer, broke record. So he since he's a very good coach, that coaching rubbed off when we were growing up.
Mm.
So he became a coach when we were growing up as well, whenever we're training. But yet, what's the beauty of it? He wasn't the one who coached us. He started off in our swimming journey, but yet he passed us to another coach so that there won't be any conflicts when it comes to our life, personal life, whenever we go home. But yet, still, the role model when growing up, I saw him how he coached. He became my hero in terms of, or a role model in terms of coaching, because not only did he just made his swimmers better. What's nice about him is he gets into the lives of the swimmer. He becomes a life coach as
Wow.
well.
Very
So
personal.
growing up, that was the kind of environment we were in.
Hmm. Now, I'm curious about what you said. I love how you said, Ange, your dad, he knew that if he wanted to be a good swimming coach to you, since he already carried the coach vibe, even in his parenting, he gave a different coach to do the technical side of it so he could still be a dad. Am I correct?
Mm.
But even as you're saying that, you said he still brought the coach vibe home. And I wanted to just land on what you were sharing about how different your environments were. Are you saying that because swimming was forced in a sense, and even if he did find a technical coach for you to differentiate his dad role, because of that environment, there wasn't much athletics and sports in general because you were forced to? Is that what I'm hearing? Is the difference between your environment from Pepper's?
No, since it was expected, since all of my cousins were swimming,
Mm.
and since Lozada should learn how to swim, it became fun for us.
Oh.
It became fun for us because since it was the environment already that was inculcated in the entire family, because there's 10 siblings. The Lozadas were 10, and all of my cousins were swimming. We saw them growing up. It became already, oh, I want to be like him. I
Mm.
want to be like him. And then they were winning.
Mm.
So growing up, we became so accustomed already to the sports environment, wherein swimming was part of our lives already.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is not that it was different in the sense that he didn't like sports. It's more like versus Pepper, they were expected to do it from the start,
Got it.
right?
They were forced.
They
I
were
think that's
forced,
the
yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
That's
so
what you're saying. But equally enjoyed is what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Whether forced or not forced, it was enjoyed.
Mm.
That's the good thing. So
Yeah, and so I'm curious as to how this might have impacted
Hmm.
your own parenting. Maybe Angelo, you can share first. You said a very interesting word. You said that your father was militant. I mean, he meant well, but
Yeah.
he was militant in his approach. Did that carry over into your own parenting of your sons? You have three
Yeah.
boys. And so, what was that like for you?
If people
So
are
with
not
the
watching this, sorry, if people are not watching this, they're totally laughing right now, right? You're seeing it in their faces. Go ahead.
if you're completely opposite in terms, if you notice, she was brought up that way in a fun environment wherein everything was so
We
exciting.
communicate.
Yeah, communication. Where with us, since my dad was a coach, so it trickled down to how we were brought up. It was more of a military way, wherein what he says we have to follow.
Mm.
So it wasn't really explained, but yet we have to follow because he's the boss. He's the coach. And we're scared of him,
Mm.
but in a good way. We're scared because
You respect him.
he's a
Yeah.
disciplinarian, respect, but yet it trickled down to our parenting because nowadays the new parenting way actually you have to be able said rules without explanation or will and no relationship will bring
Need to
forth
rebel.
rebellion with the kids. So with that kind of a parenting style, so whenever I raise my kids, especially my first one, Elijah, that was the way I raised him up. A bit of a pepper, but yet mostly the way that my dad raised us up, since there wasn't wrong. I grew up well, but yet it trickled down, it became strict, it became so structured in terms of my parenting, in terms of how I discipline Elijah, which brought forth some conflicts between us because
She's not that way.
she's not that
Angela.
way. She's not a disciplinarian. She's more
No.
of explanation,
Mm.
explaining it, making it fun. But for me, since I was a coach, there were certain goals, right? So that's the way I raised Elijah up, trial and error. But yet, I adjusted slowly as we progress.
Well, good thing you married Pepper. That was probably a really big blessing. So Pepper, how did you guys then communicate as husband and wife about this when you would have conflicts? Because you have to be on the same page
Yes.
about the parenting, how you're going to raise your kids.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you were affected by his style. He was learning from your style. So how did you then come to an agreement that this is the better approach?
Yeah, so early on we had a lot of, you know, challenges. But
Conflict.
oh, yes.
He
There
said
you go,
conflict. He said conflict.
Yes, conflict, and then but joining when we joined counterflow and stuff like that, it it made it more clear that we have to be on the same side. So by doing that, we would go in our room without the kids. So it's just us conversing. So it's not to put him down
Mm.
or him to put me down, and the kids would see that. It has to be just us. And I would discuss with him like, Han, is it okay if we do it this way? Like, I know this is what you want to do, but can we just up, try this approach for this particular kid or this kid?
Mm.
Because each of them are different. So the approach should also change, should adjust. So eventually he saw how my style would also work, and I would also see like how his style would also work. So we had to merge it for it to work. So there's no perfect parent, so
Yes, for sure.
so it's really like learning along the way, and learning what's a good thing is what's good about it. We really got to know our kids.
Individually.
That's
Mm.
great. So, how do you define that style now? What would you define it as, since it's a blend? And give us examples of how you found
Salt and
this
pepper?
works.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper. This works for you guys. Example.
For example, right now, pepper is more of wait for them till they get it.
Mm.
So I merge it right now because of all of the parenting talks that we've attended, the seminars. We've learned from different parenting styles by attending, learning from you guys,
Yes.
learning from all of the seminars that we've been attending, and also in church, asking them how to better improve. But first thing is first, you have to accept first there's something to improve on in your parents'
Mm.
side.
That's right.
Humility.
Yes,
That's what we did, and then I was the one that, since I was so rigid, there should be goals. Pepper is more of waiting for them to adjust. So we placed it in the middle already. So, okay, Han, let's do it this way. Put a goal, but I won't make it that soon. Let me just, so I'll give them time to adjust, but yet there's a deadline. I always tell them there's always should be a deadline. There should be a goal. Because if there's no goals, it's freewheeling.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kids, as you know, if you don't steer them, they'll go to
Veer
different
away,
direction.
yes.
So you just have to put a goal there so that they'll be able to go to that direction. And it's also through life. In everything, as you get older, in work, there are deadlines. We explain it to them now.
Mm.
We explain it to them.
That's so important, I think, because I'm thinking about even our own children, right? It's true what you said, Pepper, that of course we have the same goals for our kids, but then the method you
Mhm.
adjust it depending on
Yes.
the child. But you definitely have to have goals and guideposts. They need boundaries.
That's right.
Actually, they do better with boundaries. And then you learn how to work together and you don't display your conflicts in front of the children.
That's right.
You discuss, and then you both choose to be humble and learn not just from each other, but from God's word, from others, because you want to keep on growing.
Sometimes I would say,
yeah.
honey, did you apologize already?
One of the best feedbacks is when we ask our kids. We
Mm.
basically, most of the improvements that we had is when our kid give us feedback on how we are as parents. So it's humbling, it's hard, especially with me, because I grew up in, whatever I say, you have to follow that kind of a world. But yet right now, because of all of the learnings, it teaches us to become more humble in terms of accepting also feedback, because we
Yes.
learned also from their kids.
Did you find that at the beginning of your parenting journey, that as you parented your sons with that military style, that there was a hardness in response to you, but that it changed through the years as you calibrated, recalibrated? Did you find that? Like, was your relationship with your oldest different then than with your youngest because you were a different father from the beginning?
Yes, definitely. Because in the first, with my first one, that's the reason why through the years I noticed is that Elijah was more open to Pepper,
Mm.
because she was more of um very receptive whenever he explains things. Even if he makes a mistake, Pepper will be there to be able to guide him.
Mm.
While with me, since he made a mistake, since the military way, the communication is better with her. That's the reason why I saw it in her whenever I asked her, so now how do I say this to Elijah? But the difference now, I'm more closer. It increases the closeness, the communication increases as especially with Isaiah,
Mm.
he's more open with me
Yes.
as
Very
compared
open.
to Elijah.
Oh, so at least, I mean, I think the good thing that we're learning is that even if you started one way in your parenting and you inherited some parenting styles from your parents, good and bad, all of us, right?
Yeah.
But as you go along, the willingness to adjust and to learn from people around you, from God's word, from one another also, and having good, healthy communication between you and your spouse will then make for better parenting moving forward. And it's never too late to change.
Yeah, and this is where I want to insert the question on homeschooling. So one of the distinct things about your family is you chose to do this as well, right? Early on. Can you help us, maybe in a few words, describe how has that helped or not helped, let's be honest, in your parenting journey
Mhm.
with your boys? Pepper?
Well, I think with Elijah, I just realized that because he was in the traditional school longer, um, I mean, looking back, maybe I shouldn't have taken him out because he already, his foundation was there already. And knowing like how his mind works, I think he should have stayed in the traditional school. As compared to the two younger ones, they were still like Joshua was incoming grade 4. I say was preschool. So we saw the difference.
Mm.
We saw how they flourished and grew in the homeschooling setup. Elijah had set of friends already, so he was really grounded. So if given, I would really if given a choice, I would have homeschooled them from the very beginning because I saw it in Joshua and I saw it in Isaiah. But Elijah, because he already had he was grounded, he had friends, he was like in the he was in it. And then the like his mindset, he said he's different. So I should have just let him be.
Mm.
Yet, you know,
In short, we should have followed you earlier. When they were young, one,
That's
two, when
right.
Elijah was 1 or 2, we're already telling us. I
Homeschooling.
can't forget what Edric told me. Coach Angelo, you have to be homeschooling your kid. Both of you are
That's a,
teachers.
Yeah.
Why aren't you homeschooling your kids? I should have followed that.
Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
I'm
That
sure
once
you
upon
did.
I
But
probably said that. But so by God's grace,
Yes.
you are seeing the benefits, as you said, from the younger
yes.
to I mean, as a dad, what do you see and what is your role? Do you have a role in the homeschooling?
Yeah. Basically, the benefit growing up, because we practically studied in regular traditional school. The relationship, I saw it better in homeschooling, because in homeschooling, practically saw them grow up,
oh,
and we were able to understand each personality. And
Mhm.
what's nice about it, since my schedule's kind of flexible in terms of teaching, I was able to spend more time. We have breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together,
Lot of talks.
lot of talks,
Mm.
and the table time whenever we eat, so fun in terms of hearing their stories, which I wasn't able to experience growing up.
mm,
And it made me more attuned and understanding who they really are. And for me, that's one of the things, because at a certain age, you lose them already, because they'll be going on their own lives. What's nice is I get to treasure their formative years,
Yes.
including their young adult years, a teen, right? Young adult years. And then eventually, now Elijah's 20, Joshua's 18, and Isaiah's 15.
15.
So another season,
mm,
I get to experience the different seasons, and adjust also accordingly,
And you're
which we weren't
present.
able to do that
Yeah.
before.
You're present for all the seasons,
Yeah.
right? That's the special part about it. So
What
maybe
about you, Pepper?
Me, well, I enjoy it because we get to travel more. And I think they learn also when they're out in their comfort zone. And whatever we get to save in homeschooling, we get to spend in traveling, and then we get to apply whatever they learn from homeschooling, which is really, really nice. And you I just treasure that. And also, like, they get to experience doing music more, doing sports more, and they're not just bombarded with the academics. It's like a well balanced there's balance in homeschooling, and in putting in and adding in whatever they are into. Like, one's into drawing, the other one's into music, and the other one's into sports. So it's a good way to balance whatever. Kung meron lang homeschooling before, I should have homeschooled.
I think many of us are thinking the same thing. I like that word balance, and we'll end this episode on that because we're gonna have another one with you guys. Thanks for being willing. The question is there a balance that needs to be set in place to be better parents? And how do you weave in the need for sports and healthy lifestyles as you go about that? That's what we'll cover in our next episode. In the meantime, thanks again for joining us. This is HD Dialogues. I'm Edric,
I'm Joy.
and we're here to help you
Get it right from the start.